Yeah, I'm gonna say underrated. I think that the turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, family sit down feast meal is one of my. It's really, to me, the main reason to have any sort of family or relatives. Like,
I'm sending you a picture, Scott, that we're going to discuss
new episode
on the show.
All right.
It's just bodybuilding. Worst intro ever. It's just bodybuilding. No one's listening to me. That's okay. Like, share, subscribe, comment,
and ring the bell. He threw off his only. Wow, that was a mess. This is the worst intro.
I made it worse on purpose. Remember the IamMutant.com Black Friday sale. Go on there, 30% off. And also, when there's not a Black Friday sale, our codes are Dusty20 and Big Ron 20. So,
which saves you 20%.
There we go. Yeah, 20%. You still save, but the Black Friday sale will be a bigger savings. So I don't blame you. So what's new, Dusty?
There's a lot new going on right now. A lot. But the big thing that I did today, which has made the last hour and a half a little regrettable, is my buddy turned 50 today. 50. And we do what any good gun does, and we had a birthday leg day. And I got the bright idea that we would do 50 reps on everything we did.
Nice.
I'm going to be in pain for quite some time. I told him finally, I said, 2 things need to happen in our futures. I need to get younger friends, and you need smarter friends, because this is fucked. Yeah, it was brutal. We did squats, leg press, horizontal leg press. And by the horizontal, the blood wouldn't let go. So I put a weight on there because I'm guessing. I'm obviously I've never done 50. I put a weight on and I was like, all right. And at 15, I was like, oh, this is too light. And at 16, I was like, fuck, am I going to make it? It was literally 1 rep. And I'm like, holy shit. And literally at 30, reps. I had to stop and do 5 and then stop and do 5, then stop and do 3. I'm like, holy shit. So yeah, it was enjoyable. And so happy birthday to Daniel Q. He calls him DQ around here. Oh, I'm friends with DQ. And I have to pause. I'm like, oh, Daniel.
Right.
But I don't like you anymore. So we're probably not friends. 51st birthday, I'm not hanging out with him.
He probably doesn't like you anymore either after that workout.
No, he actually told me that. He said at 60, he's fucking blocking me on everything. Yeah. I was like, that's pretty bold that you think I'll still be alive in 10 years. But anyways, cool.
I'll agree to almost anything if it's 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Exactly. I won't fucking be here. Sure.
Whatever.
Done. Yes. But other than that, there's not a ton going on. But I will tell you this. I went to Charlotte for his birthday. I actually took him to my favorite restaurant. And we go in there. And all of a sudden the waitress just walks up and she goes, hey, I just want to remind you guys that you're on the VIP list. So the drinks and the appetizers are all free. And I was like, oh, and I'm not a drinker. I had one, the social drink. Then she brings shots. Then she brings champagne. I'm like, lady, easy. So we get out of there. It's Fahrenheit, by the way. If you guys are ever in Charlotte, go to Fahrenheit. Trust me. Awesome. Then we leave there and we go to this place called The Vault, which I don't realize is a private cigar bar. I'm like, oh. So I walk in. The guy's like, this is actually a private place, but we do day passes. And I was like, cool. So we buy the day pass thing, go in. A kid walks over and he's like, you're Dusty Hanshaw. And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, I follow you. He's like, I'm going to wipe those passes off your card. That shows us around. And here's the point of the story. It's not that, but this place was built out of an old garage, where you work on cars, right?
That's cool.
But the cooler part is it was Michael Jordan's dad's garage. And he's actually a member at that cigar bar.
Huh.
And because I thought it was really weird. The whole vibe of the place is really cool and old school. And there was just a Jordan jersey in the back, which I thought was different. And that's why. It's Michael Jordan's dad's old business. And they built it out. They still have the garage doors on it. Yeah. And the place was awesome. So another one, if you guys go to Charlotte, check out that place. It's only $25 to check it out. And Joe is the manager's name. He took awesome care of us. So give them a shout.
Look at you. Friends in low places.
All because I know you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's high. Anyways.
Hi. Yeah.
You guys, what have you guys been up to?
Me?
Yes.
I've had a busy week, and I fit my hobbies in, and I kept myself sane. And it's basically any day that it's not raining, I try to get out on my little bike, because the rain is going to arrive any minute now, and it's not going to leave till like April.
You said that 3 weeks ago, so you're still doing all right.
Yeah, it's late.
He's been lucky.
It's late.
Okay.
It's way late.
Yeah, we're having everyone's talking about how we still it's not apocalyptic rain yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny here. A little bit weird to not be raining yet, So we'll see. We're supposed to get dumped on with snow. Dusty will love that. I'll make sure are you going to get snowed on, Dusty?
Probably not, because it's last year was unseasonable amount, which was kind of cool. But if you guys get snow, I want to see Jed in the snow, because Donna tore that shit up. She was about it. Harvey took his foot. He was like me. He stepped in. He's like, fuck that shit, and turned back in the house.
Yeah.
He's like, I will piss in the, because I keep a, a turf thing that's inside of a bin in the garage. And Harvey's like, I'll piss in the bin. And he goes outside. He wasn't having it. Wasn't fucking having it.
No, Jed hates the fucking cold, but he'll do his thing. What about you, Scott? Are you dumped on yet? Is it snow on the ground yet?
A week ago, we were doing yard work together. Very suburban type thing, husband, wife outside doing yard work. We were
waving at the neighbors.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. We were wearing shorts.
Some sugar.
And yesterday, it snowed. So now we have some snow. So it's not cool.
Okay.
But, whatever. It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Although it was it turned all into ice, and we walk the dogs twice a day. So that's kind of an issue. You know what I'm saying? But, we'll get through it.
Yeah.
It's Michigan.
Stay safe on that ice, Scott.
Yeah. Black ice.
Don't be that old man. Don't be that old man that falls on the ice.
Black ice. You got to watch out for it.
You think it's funny? I would wear wrist guards if I was walking out there, just because I have this fear of breaking my wrist, falling down. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'd be putting them rollerblade wrist guards on and heading out. Zero fucks. I'd tell everybody, I'm like, whatever, dude. If I fall, I'm not breaking my wrist. Kiss my ass.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the keys is don't walk around with your hands in your pockets in the wintertime.
Oh, yeah.
Why do people do that?
You see people with their hands in their pockets walking across a parking lot, and all of a sudden, you slip and their hands are already in their pockets, and
go down hard.
It fucking hurts. Yeah, going down hard. So you got to be aware. Head on a swivel.
Hands in your pockets.
Hands in your pockets. Nature could attack at any time.
Never know.
Yeah, never know. That's what happened to Branch Warren.
Yeah, you never know. You could get off a horse, get out of your truck,
go down some stairs.
Yeah.
Never know.
There you go. Boom. Yeah, there you go. Okay. I got a bunch of questions.
I got some too.
Cool. I got a few left too.
This episode will go up before we know what people thought of our Lunsford discussion.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We forgot someone else.
It'll go up after.
It'll go up after.
Yeah, who did we forget?
Yeah. Yeah, we will have forgotten somebody else, and by the time this episode goes up, we will have been reminded.
Yes, we will have been reminded.
I would like to know our
friendly reminders.
I'd like our viewers to weigh in on the questions with their comment on how dumb they think it is. And this isn't a shot at Derek, first off, but that Derek gets a special invite for the Olympia, and Shaun Clarida qualifies for both divisions and is told he can't do them both. He qualified for both.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and this isn't even like a mutant friendship family thing. I just don't get it. If anything, that would put him at a disadvantage for the Olympia.
Yeah.
So I hate, this is the reason I cannot be employed by anyone. I hate things that don't make sense when someone just decides on some fucking random, we're not going to do that. Well, because we want to keep things, on the up and up and do them the right way, the way we've always done them. Like, you mean like not giving out special invites for someone who's never qualified for the Olympia? Like that thing? That irritates the shit out of me. What would it hurt? A few people he beats? Well, tough shit. That's bodybuilding. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I would love to know what the fans think, because I find it ridiculous, because I know, and so does Ron, that he told us he wanted to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would be,
why not let someone
amazing.
Make history? Why not let someone bring extra press to their, involvement with both divisions?
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty to talk about. What's wrong with having one more thing to talk about?
Yeah.
You'd think the more going on, the better,
Yeah,
so,
I don't
understand that
he
call
did
either.
Qualify for both, and it's not, you're not even crossing over. It's not like he's like, oh, I'm going to randomly choose to do men's physique as well. Like, if he had qualified for men's physique and open bodybuilding, then fuck it, let him do both. Think about how many people. Steve Kuklo did not qualify for the Olympia. Shaun Clarida did. Anyone who qualifies should be able to do it under, I don't know, it just drives me crazy. I wish that they would publicly come out with a reason that made sense, just so I could find out that there was a reason that makes sense, because we all know there isn't. Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense either. And all of the issues that involve him doing both are his problem.
Yep. He has to handle that.
Are their problem. He will handle all of it. Shaun will absorb 100% of the responsibility of the whole thing. That's the thing. Like, what do they have to do? Nothing. They just run the show on time. He'll show up.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like, they don't have to do anything. He will be the one doing all the work. So, like, why say no? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's different if, like, let's say every person in the Olympia has to be assigned a representative, and that representative has things they have to do, and all of a sudden they need a, like, you know what I mean? Like, no, that's not how it works. It's all their problem. Yeah. None of them have their hands held. Here's the date of the show. Here's the time. Here's when we start. Be backstage. That's it.
Yep.
It's not complicated, but, I'm not a fan of bureaucracy, as we know. What's your job? I sign these papers and then I put them in this pile. And then that person looks at them and then they sign them and then they put them in that pile. Like that, all that stuff just drives me fucking crazy. So,
yes,
that's my thing. Did you notice how we're yellow, red, and green? It's like a Christmas show without meaning to be. Yeah. Look at these shirts. Look at these shirts.
We're festive.
I know, obviously. We're festive. Unintentionally. No, none of us, three of us, no one's wearing a black t-shirt. What are the odds of that?
That's rare.
True.
Okay.
Very rare.
Okay. Do we have questions? Scott said he's got some.
Scott has a couple that he wants to lead with, because they're, they do get precedence.
I didn't know we were going to lead with them, but we could lead with them. Because you know what?
Well, they are YouTube.
I'll tell you what. Let's get back to them, because I don't find them to be lead the show question. Actually, you know what though? I will say this. I have one more Olympia shout out. All right.
Okay.
Check this picture out. Boom.
Where is it?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Amazing.
Look at that.
She looks awesome.
Missy Trescott. Yeah, she looks pretty incredible. I'm excited to see what she does. And I guess she did this flip that hasn't been done in a fitness routine before on stage. And she's going to possibly be doing that, I'm guessing, because I saw it on Instagram. That would be it's like a ninja move, basically. Like, you ever see The Matrix?
Right.
It was like that,
Yeah.
Are there bullets? Never mind. There we go. Son of a bitch. Scott finally has a spot in Olympia. Hey, Scott. So here's a question I have that I don't think you're going to want me to answer.
Uh-oh.
How do people from the U.S. see people from the U.K.?
We've gotten in trouble here before.
That's the one that got me in trouble last time. I opened up and laughed. I was like, wow, I can't touch that one.
How do people in the U.S. see people in the U.K.? Okay, yeah.
I see you as very honest, old school, sorry, I'm trying to find words. Hardworking people who are not as soft as most Americans. How did I do?
That was correct and acceptable.
Because I said it. If you go back and watch the DC training episode, you'll get my more honest review. But there was a lot of things said there that got us demonetized.
Yeah. Well, it was just more feel.
I used
same
baseball term, bunt, or a cake, so to speak. But it was the letter after the B at the start if you were doing the alphabet, like A, B, and then unt. So that one was frowned upon. Yeah. And there was violence.
I don't want to be scared to say it now. Let's not be scared to say it.
I know.
Have you guys ever...
We can't even have Flex Lewis on the fucking show.
Listen, I got to...
I'll drop one later this episode. I'll drop one. We won't even acknowledge it.
Have you ever seriously used that word? Like it legit
all the time.
That word. Yeah? Yeah.
I used it just yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
Ron and I used it
yesterday. In reference to what, Ron? What did you say?
We're watching a TV show. We're watching a TV show. And one of the characters was behaving in a certain way. And I looked at Emily and I said, she's just being a
Oh! We can edit.
And Emily went,
we got to beat that part.
We're going to have
Mark
to.
That time, Scott.
Yes,
you think so?
Yeah.
I was just expressing how I felt about the TV show character. And Emily went, yep, for sure. She is.
See?
So Emily agreed. Yeah. So there.
I only used it one time.
I was like, absolutely.
Your entire life?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, but I threw it out there in a serious way once. I was dating a girl when I was in art school. Well, I was dating a girl.
Like a serious.
I was dating a girl in art school, and she was very all about, she was definitely like super feminist. All right, like super feminist.
Oh, that she was a.
and we got in this fight. And I was like, you know what? And I was like, you're being such... And she was like, what? I'm being a bitch? You think I'm being a bitch? That's right. I'm a bitch. Because she was like, women's rights, I'm a bitch. And I was like, no. Actually, I was going to say, you're being a f***ing and her jaw just dropped.
That is amazing.
It was a good
word.
That's great.
The word is an amazing word when it has the effect that you want.
And that was the only time I ever said it, and I meant it.
You throat punched her with that. Oh, wait, you can't say that either.
It's going to be a lot of work to edit this show.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I'm a big fan of that.
Scott is the nicest guy that just demoralizes people when he just decides it's time.
Hey, Karen, if you're watching, thanks.
Scott
appreciate you.
Ever starts to raise his voice with me, I'm just going to throw the white flag immediately.
Oh, God.
And be like, no. I'm out. He's angry, and I'm out.
I'm a fan of the word It's like kind of cute.
Oh, yeah.
Ash being kind of
yes.
Because it's not like full blown. It's like there's just like some behavior there that's like, it's on the verge. Attitude that needs to be changed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're not.
I like that word.
Being a you're just acting like one.
Just a little. Yeah. I like it when women get on board and they use it in reference to other women. Like, yeah, she's a little.
Yeah.
Like I've heard that, Yeah, interesting. Times are changing. I remember the days when you wouldn't hear the word shit on TV ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like ever. Like it was never on TV. And then it started like, you'd be watching a show at like 10 p.m. and there'd be like, it would be on there. It'd be like, oh, they're letting it on like late at night,
It's the 10 p.m. and later word.
Yeah. And then it like, creeps in slowly, times have changed. Okay.
Sorry
I've got a
about
good question here. I've got a good question. I mean, it might not be that interesting, but what's the most number of jobs you've ever worked at any period in your life?
Ooh, like at a time?
Yeah.
One.
Like the most one, right. So like some guys will be one, right?
I mean, I guess if you count, because I never counted coaching as a job. But I guess if you did that, then the answer would be 2. But yeah, I've never worked more than one job in my life.
Okay.
How
what about you,
Scott?
Scott?
How are you guys?
I did too. A couple times.
Yeah. I had 3.
3
was the most jobs I ever had. Yeah. I had a full-time warehouse job. And then I had 2 bar jobs. One was on Fridays and Saturdays. And then I worked at another bar on Monday and Wednesday nights. So I was working a lot and I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, but I was super broke and I just moved to Edmonton back in the early days. So I needed to work as much as I could. So I was working 5 full-time days in a warehouse and then 4 nights at the bar.
Ooh.
So I was just fucking working my bag off.
Yeah. Are you banking money at least?
Well, I mean, I moved there with literally nothing. Like I moved there with like my shitty $600 car. I didn't even have a mattress on the floor. I was sleeping on the floor.
Holy shit.
I had blankets down on the carpet and I would just lay on the floor and sleep on the floor with a pillow.
Damn.
So I had no bed, $600 car, nothing.
Where were you staying? Did you rent a room from someone or what?
No, me and my best friend, I was living in another city. He was living in our hometown, and we met in Edmonton to move in together. And he went down a couple days before me, and he found an apartment. And our rent was $400 a month back in the day. And so we moved in, and like I literally showed up. He had a little bit more stuff. He had a pickup truck with like a box full of stuff. So he had like a shitty little kitchen table, and he had a bed, you know. But I pulled into town like 2 days later with my car, with my gym bag and my box of clothing. And like I brought almost nothing to the relationship other than I think a George Foreman grill and a blender.
And some lifting straps.
Yeah. And then we just like, we're best friends. So we lived together for years, like 5 years we lived together. And we just like, you know, started there from scratch together. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I had 3 jobs back then.
That's wild.
You know. The Monday and Wednesday night bar job was like really kind of cruisy, you know, and then the weekend bar job was like really hectic. So
I love this topic because I'm amazed. I've had a few people that I've known in my life that are start at the bottom for whatever reason. And it blows my mind what they're not willing to do. Well, I gotta get my own place. I'm like, why? Why not rent a room? Or they're looking for like a specific job. And I'm like, work every job you can get your hands on until you get moving. It's weird to me that you can be in a position where, you know, I don't want to say at the bottom because you're fine, but you're just starting out on basic things, but then have so much pride in what you are and are not willing to do. Like if I had to, I mean, I'd sleep in my car for a little while to like stock away money. I'd use the gym locker room to shower. You know, I mean, there's endless options, even if I didn't know anybody, you know, or I know you can literally rent rooms from people. Like I rented that room for 3 months for $150 a month or whatever. Like, I don't know. I like hearing, because I know Ron's rented rooms, you know, you've slept on the floor, you've done things. And I only point it out because now you own a gym, properties, life. You know, and I feel like everyone's afraid to take that step all the way back that's kind of required to step forward. So they can't really get out of where they are because they're like, well, I have to live alone and I have to have this nice car. And now their money goes just to those 2 things and they can't ever have extra to start building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. I remember, you know, we got at the warehouse, we got 2 10-minute breaks or whatever, 2 15-minute breaks. And then like an hour for lunch was like how the schedule was, I believe. So I would eat meals. I would eat meals on my 15-minute breaks. But on my hour lunch, I would have a shake and sleep in my car.
Yeah.
So it was time management, right? Instead of shakes on the 10-minute break and a meal on the hour, it was no, meal on the fucking 10-minute break, eat it real fast, ram it in, go, you know, get it in. And then on the hour-long break, that's when you pound a shake real quick, get to your car. And I remember I would try to be at my car within 5 minutes of the break starting. And I would always park under these trees and roll the windows down. So I was in the shade and it was like cool. And I would put the seat back and pull my hat down and just fucking sleep for the whole hour break.
Yeah.
You know, because I'd only had like 4 hours, 5 hours of sleep, right? So yeah, you just try to get it in. And then you're super tired at 5 o'clock when you're done at the warehouse. But it's straight to the gym. And the gym was 2 blocks away from the warehouse. So it was like
Right.
I was there within minutes. So I'd go to the cafeteria and I would bang like a big coffee back for free, the little perks.
Yep.
You got to get the free coffee, bang a coffee back and just think I feel like garbage now. But by the time I drive 3 blocks or whatever, that coffee will be hitting me and I just got to go in and train.
Yep. You make it work.
Just make it work, And then the goal was to try to be home from the gym, before the sun was down. You don't want to like hang out and dawdle at the gym and you got to get to your other job, got to get back, get showered, get to work. So yeah, it was just hectic, but you can do it.
That's cool.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
It's the way it should be. I don't know. I have to push that just because everyone that I know who is done well has had a point in their life where they're like, I just had to do what I had to do, whatever that was. And a lot of people are not willing to do that, but they definitely want the big things. And I'm like, well, that's really not how it works. So anywho, do you have any more on the top of your tongue there, Ron? Questions? I haven't even glanced at mine.
I have another question I don't know why I just thought of this, but it reminded me. What's the most expensive gift any of your friends have ever given you?
Oh, I got one. One of my friends introduced me to my first wife.
Okay.
Sorry.
6 figures. Okay. Very expensive.
Okay.
That's pretty. That's a good answer. You can just leave it at that. That's actually great.
That's solid.
That's a solid answer.
That trumps mine. That's funny. Yeah.
And
that's a great one.
You guys?
I don't have anything that good.
Can you think of anything, Scott?
I don't have anything that good.
I'm out.
No, I'm out. Yeah.
What was yours?
I just got reminded by this. We were both pretty broke, but my best friend, the guy I was living with at the time, he had a good bartending job. So he was making he was doing better. I was working those 3 jobs. I was grinding away on paychecks, working the door and stuff. And he was like getting a lot of hours at the restaurant. And he was like making more than me at the time. And I had a prep coming up and I was really trying to like get some money together for a prep. And so I think it was like, I was going to start my prep in like February or something. And it was Christmas time. And he gave me $1,000 for Christmas.
Dang.
My roommate.
Wow.
And I was like, I remember opening the card and it was $1,000. And I was like, what the fuck's this? And he's like,
buy a bed.
He's like, yeah.
Get your prep going.
That was funny. He actually went, you got a prep coming up. He's like, this is to make your prep easier, like whatever you got to do. And it's funny because I did get a bed because I'd slept on the floor for like 3 months. And so I got a bed and shit. Yeah. And that was my best friend. And then he wound up getting that back in spades, because we're best friends. So it was just one of those things. But he had $1,000 and he knew I didn't,
Yeah.
So he was like, and he wasn't like loaded. Like $1,000 was like a lot back then. Like, a month's rent was only $400. But that's just how generous of a friend he was. He probably only had $2,000, but he gave me $1,000.
Right. That's awesome.
So like that type of a friend, So, and I was like, fuck. And then I was like, how do I repay it? And he's like, it'll come out in the wash, I'm sure,
Wow, that's cool.
Years and years later. But we've been friends for, going on 30 years. So 30 plus years. So yeah, just one of those things.
All right, I got one. Who's the strongest person you've ever trained with? And this is actually a really difficult one for me because I've trained with so many freaks.
So are we going to say theoretically strongest or actually what we saw them do that particular day in the gym?
Both.
You know what I mean? Because I have a few answers. Because I trained with Akeem once.
Oh God, yeah.
But he was 2 weeks out from a show, and he told me, he's like, I'm keeping all my reps like at 15, and I'm not like really going that heavy.
You're probably tons of volume. Thank God.
Well, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of 15 rep sets, and it was like we did a ton of volume that day. It was actually really tough because it was so hot at Diamond Gym in New Jersey. But So, but he didn't move that much weight that day. Yeah. So I'd say Hollingshead, possibly. I mean, man, we had a lot of weight on the leg press and these big fat green bands like this. And he just 20 repped it like nothing. But it's hard to say, man. I don't know. I'm just trying to think. I've trained with, my buddy John Davey back in the day.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've never seen anyone else do, because no one does behind the neck press anymore. Remember behind the neck press in the old military chair that's like straight up and down. And I remember training with John Davey back in Australia, and he would go up to like 3.5 plates. Like he would behind the neck press more than he would incline. And
that's
I think he might have even touched 4, but like just unracking it. And those old school racks where there's no front rack. Like there's no safety rack. You're just in a chair with like a rack behind you, those old school shoulder racks.
Yeah.
And I'd like unrack it and hand it to him, and he'd bring it down real slow on the first one and like tuck it behind his head, and then he'd get the reps going and he'd pump them out. And I remember him being like so strong on those. I was just like, holy fuck. Like there's nothing you can do if the bar moves forward. Like you just like let it, he'll just throw it forward,
throw it. Yeah.
You're kind of spotting. Yeah. But that was always like a sketchy movement. And I remember I got up to doing 2 plates behind the head, and I was like only 20, I think. And I thought that was like a big deal, because it's really hard for me to get the bar even behind my fucking head. Yeah. So, but that was like a freaky thing to watch someone do back in 1995.
Yeah. I'm trying to. What about you, Scott?
I was just thinking though, I've seen Ron train with a lot of people from watching Mutant on a Mission. Like it maybe not just the strongest people, but like intensity. Like I think of DLB. Like she might not have been like the strongest person you ever trained with, but man, she's a hard worker, and trying to keep up with someone like that, you've got some cool stories, man. Cool stories that like all of us who are fans of Mutant on a Mission who have been like right there along with you.
Oh yeah, that's,
you know what I mean?
That was a great memory. I remember that day because Dana was like, "Yeah, I do a lot of sets and I train real fast, so just try to keep up."
Yeah,
and I was like, "No problem." And I can't remember how many sets we did, but it was like she supersetted everything, so everything was 2 exercises together.
Yeah,
and I think we did 7 pairs of exercises supersetted. So I think it was 14 total exercises, and we must have done 4 sets of each superset. Right. So like the amount of sets was just crazy, And I remember we quit the workout. She's like, "Okay, that's enough." And I was like, "Okay, blah, blah, blah." And I close up the episode, and she's like, "Yeah, I could have done more, but like you're completely soaked."
I remember her commenting on how sweaty you were.
She's like, "I figured you were probably, if that was enough filming." And I remember Jonathan was like complaining about his shoulder. He's like, "Oh, fuck." He's filming the whole thing, right?
Holding the camera.
And he's like, funny. We went for 2 hours straight. It was crazy. So that was the most volume of anyone I've ever trained with ever was DLB. Yeah.
Well, remember when we were in Venice, we were at this last trip, Dana trained with Regan. And they were training. Yeah. Were they training back? What did they train?
They trained back for a video.
They trained back for a video, and then when she got done, Rob and somebody were training back, so she jumped in with them and did their workout too. She was like, "Well, I immediately was talking shit to her, and she's like, 'Well, I'm here, so I just figured I'd just do both.'" And I mean, she's just, and she wasn't like she was getting after it both times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she only has
Regan
one gear,
was
and
like
it's the highest gear.
Regan's like 280 pounds, and he's like tired, and he's like pounded all these sets, and she's like a hummingbird, man. Because Rob was warming up on this exercise, and I go, "Oh, you're doing back?" And he's like, "Yeah, watch Dana train with Regan, and now she's going to come train with us." And I just laughed, and he looked at me. He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "Whatever,"
what she
crazy.
Does. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I had to ask that question because the amount of people that you've trained with, like, because my knee jerk is Akeem or James, because when I think of strong, I think of somebody who is strong in everything. Everything.
Like
I've trained with guys who can squat a ton or can press a ton or can pull a ton. Those 3 can do all of them.
Yeah.
All of them at the highest level. You know what I mean? That's a different
like
strength.
I've trained I've trained with people like you, Dusty, who are like really, really strong deadlifters, and you move a significant amount of weight in everything. So, I mean, you're definitely on that list of strongest people I've ever trained with, for sure.
But then when you get into like pressing, there's a weakness. You know what I mean? These guys don't have one. Like literally, okay, let's do 455 on incline now. And you're like, okay, I can't do that. Fuck.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and just always strong. So I was curious because I think the same about, because I've trained with Branch and Johnny.
Oh,
and they're both obviously very, very strong. Like, I don't think people realize because they're so caught up in how they train.
Yeah.
But the amount of weight that they can use that way, I don't even know what to say. It's nuts. You know, I trained with Branch the day after a guest posing, and he trained as if he was in Metroflex in this fucking gym. Like, I thought we might get thrown out. I mean, I was like, holy shit. I mean, he's dropping shit and fucking I was like, oh my God, we're going to toss out of this place.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
there's lots of strong guys out there, man. It's a lot of fun. It's impressive, you know, over the years.
Absolutely.
Even training with Bumstead.
Yeah.
Like I trained
he's
with
a surprise strength.
like, he's like surprise strong, and he looks so casual about it. You know, like he can like grab 150 dumbbells, like his face is like just normal, and he can like say something like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then he can just like lay back and fucking just bang, bang, bang. Like, you know, how many reps can you rep out with those on the incline?
Yeah.
Like you just go to town with those, you know? So it's impressive when someone's just easily strong on everything, you know, like you watch the videos of Bumstead Smith squatting 6 plates and he looks fine, you know, he's not like shaking or anything. He's just doing these perfect reps. Like it's impressive. So, you know, that when I watch Bumstead train, I go, that's a healthy body that doesn't have any Velcro sounding joints. You know, everything's just moving nicely. Like Velcro sounding joints.
That's all I have.
You know? Yeah. That's what warming up is to me. I warm up until the sound goes away.
That's when you know you're good.
And then I know I'm warmed up. Okay.
Ooh.
What's the next question?
I have one I want you guys to touch on because I have my own answer, but I don't want to say it. Can you talk about your rebound protocol after a show with male bodybuilders?
I didn't put that much thought into it. It was drop everything, cold turkey, except for a little bit of test, and just train real hard and have fun in the gym and eat a lot. That's about as complicated as it was. And if you felt like you needed a break, like, you know, some shows I'd come off with like an insane motivation. Like I'd come off and I'm like, fuck. You know, let's go. And then other shows I come off and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm fucked. Like there were a few shows where I came off like I'm like, I can't train for a couple weeks because everything hurts, you know? So that was only a few times, but most of the time I came off a show and I just threw in a fucking big cheat meal every day and doubled my carbs or tripled my carbs or whatever. And just threw a cheat meal in and a couple of cookies and just fucking get big. And there wasn't like any of this, like there wasn't any, like, I wouldn't take pictures. It was just, oh, it's off season. Let's just get fucking big. You know, I wasn't as worried like everyone now with the formulas post show. I don't know if it's helping anyone get any bigger, you know? I sometimes wonder if the anxiety from managing, constantly thinking you have to manage every variable, I wonder if that anxiety gets in the way of a lot of greatness to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. What about you, Scott?
Theoretically,
I would say that there's no formula. You know, some people like Ron, you just eat a lot of food, right? And then maybe there's going to be another guy who, like, he really had to struggle to get down, and we had to go to keto, and you know, all of that. Then there might be like a reverse. But I think that there is a mistake nowadays in everybody thinking that there needs to be a reverse, that there has to be a formula for that. I think just like we diet down and we make changes as your body needs it, the reverse is going to be similar. The only thing I would say that I found is early on, I made the mistake of just going too hard, too fast for my body. I remember like my first contest prep, this is how little I knew. I remember like putting a diet together and showing my coach, because I had a guy who helped me for my first show. And I was like, hey, what do you think about this for an off season? And he was like, well, I guess if you get to the point where you need to eat that much, but I'm like 2 cups and then I'll eat 2 cups after I train. And, you know, it's like, really, here's what I would do is, you know, something similar to what you've been doing, but more, and then watch what happens. And then you know, adjust from there. And I think it's important to be able to have those breaks too. Like, let's get some cheat meals in every couple of days. And if you can handle it, you know, some guys might need a cheat meal every day. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
So it's that's why, you know,
that's why I asked the question, because, and this is my take, and shoot it down if you guys disagree, which I love that we can actually do that. But I actually think that the post-show rebound is a bit bullshit. I don't think you magically put on so much muscle.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, talk about overrated, underrated. Overrated through the roof. Yeah. That everyone thinks that there's this magic window. Because I'm like, listen, here's what happens. And this, like for me, I have somebody who, after a show, to get heavy, like to get fat is almost impossible. I could eat like complete dog shit. But what happens is eventually one day you wake up and you look like dog shit.
Yeah.
And yesterday you looked good. It's just like, boom, went too far. And I had a client actually that just asked me that. They're like, what are we going to do for the rebound? I want to really take advantage. And he's a guy who I had to kill to get in shape. And I was like, well, we're going to start on like 300 grams of carbs a day. And he was like, what? And I was like, you will get fucking fat. Like, you will. So we can't, you know? And I did say, I said, and just so you know, that whole rebound thing is bullshit if you ask me. Because no one, if you were to take somebody who put on all this weight, but actually had them go in and get a true body fat analysis, like a DEXA scan, they're not up 12 pounds of tissue.
No.
In 6 weeks, like everyone thinks they are. They're up weight. It's a very different thing. So I just push on that because exactly what you said, Scott. It's the same way I approach a prep. It's individual. Like you said, Ron. I mean, I have clients that I'm like, okay, you're going to eat these 5 meals, and I want 1 meal a day, whatever you want, but it needs 50 grams of protein in it, which means you can have a shake and eat a pizza. I don't give a fuck. But you got to have the shake, you know? So it is person to person. But yeah, I find that's kind of back to what you were saying at the end of the last episode, Ron. Like there's this thought process of so much of what's our plan? And I'm like, I'd like you to train your ass off,
the week
eat enough to recover, and then we'll see. Because I think I've had the same thing you did, Ron, only backwards, where I came off a show amped, and I'm like, all right, we're getting after it. So I waited till Wednesday, and I started training. And then the following Monday, I started really training, and the following Wednesday, I said, nope, never mind. Like my body was like, fuck you, sit down.
Yeah,
And it was an immediate change of plans, because as soon as I really kicked it in, my body told me, you don't want to do this. And it sucked because mentally I did want to. And it was probably one of the hardest things because I was mentally ready to roll and physically, no way, you know? So
I remember one thing that happened with Johnny Jackson that was hilarious. He'd done the Olympia and he'd looked really good. Like, he looked really good, you know. Johnny did so many Olympias. I think he did 15 of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I remember he'd done the Olympia, and it was like 3 weeks later, we brought him up here to do a photo shoot, right, and shoot some video. And he goes, "Oh yeah, that'll be a good time to shoot because I'll still be in like really good shape." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm excited to see it," you know. So, anyways, he comes up and he's shooting, and he looks great. Like he's still in great condition. He's really big and full. He's like a little softer. Obviously it's 3 weeks post show, but like he looked great. And I go, oh man. And he goes, fuck, you know, I'm going to be sore tomorrow. And I was like, oh, why? And he's like, oh, it's the first time I trained since the Olympia. And I went, oh, you haven't been training? And he's like, no, I haven't trained once. And I go, oh, I thought you said you had like another photo shoot and then you had this shoot. And he's like, yeah. And I have another shoot like next week when I get back with Gasp. And I'm like, but you haven't been training? And he's like, no, I don't train after a show. I'm just taking a rest. And I go, oh, aren't you like concerned about the photo shoots? And he just looked at me like I was like worrying about nothing. He goes, "What? This is just going to go away?"
That's great. That's amazing.
Like, he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And he looked great. You know, like he's doing cable crossovers and his pecs are just like crunch, you know, and like it's doing back and they're filming his back and it's just lumpy as fuck. And he's like, "What? This isn't going to go away." Like, are you kidding? Like, what? You worry about too much. You know?
That's amazing.
It like hadn't even occurred to him that he couldn't not train for 3 weeks and still do photo shoots. Like, just no, like, didn't do cardio, didn't do nothing. Fucking.
That's awesome. That should wake people up on how much you're overthinking.
Yeah. You know, like, and I remember the pictures look great. Like, the video and pictures look great. He's like, these photographers are pros. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't worry about it. They'll make you look good. You know, I'm shooting with Per. You know, all you got to do with Per is show up, move weights. He fucking gets good shots. You know, I'm in shape. You know, it's just funny.
That's awesome. That is classic. Absolutely classic.
I know
we have time for more.
I was going to say, we're probably running a little low on time, but I know the fans, the listeners, I don't like using the word fans. I'll say the listeners and viewers are probably wondering, are they going to do an overrated, underrated? I just know there's people just waiting for it.
Well, good news, people. I'm ready.
Didn't you say people have been sending them to you even?
Yes. Oh, yeah. None of these are mine.
Oh.
Actually. First and foremost.
Dusty outsourced his job. You see that, Ron?
I always do. What's fucking new? Been doing this since high school, kids. The McRib.
Disgusting. Way overrated. Yeah.
Have you ever had one?
Nah.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I'm not saying that you are wrong to call it disgusting. I just was curious if you had one. All right. He's never had a McRib. It's overrated. Scott.
You know, I will also say overrated, but it's one of those things that they've done such a good job with marketing, because that's that item on the McDonald's list that you always hear them saying, "Oh, did you hear the McRib is back?" They take it away and they bring it back and people are like, "Oh my God." And I don't even eat McRibs. And then I hear somebody say, "Hey, did you hear McRib's back at McDonald's?" I'm like thinking to myself, "Oh shit, I should go out there and get one while I can."
Fear of loss gets Scott.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, I need to get me some McRibs like before they go away. I've never eaten a McRib in my life, so.
Oh God, that was why it was on the list. Is because the way they market it is why I feel like it's so drastically overrated. Because it's like I feel like it's like if I made the girls clean up the dog shit in the backyard, and then I took it away for 3 months and did it myself. And I came back and I'm like, "Guys, the dog shit is back. You want to go get it?" Fuck. I never followed that. I never followed that. Okay, so those are some. Okay, we're gonna go festive, and I know Ron's opinion on this. The Thanksgiving meal.
New listeners might not have heard about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna say underrated. I think that the turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, family sit down feast meal is one of my. It's really, to me, the main reason to have any sort of family or relatives. Like,
I almost jumped in and said family to try to be a smart ass, and that's exactly what he said.
And he did it.
Like, it really is. Like, that's the number one benefit of having
outside of
relatives. Yeah, and family and all those sort of complicated relationships. That if that meal happens, you are very fortunate. It is awesome. There's nothing I like better than a turkey dinner, mashed potato gravy, sit down, the little sort of like, and then you always got the things that come with it, like you got that sort of passive aggressive thing from your sister coming at you that you're sort of deflecting, and then you're trying to get some digs in on this other relative to let them know what you really think of their political views, and then and then you got your mom going, "Can you guys just get along?" And then your dad's just sitting there quietly eating, saying nothing, not even looking up, like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this."
Just get through this. Get through this.
Yeah, just get through this. Get through this. You have to gauge like how high can you be for this meal compared to the people that are going to be at the dinner. Yeah, there's all that sort of stuff going on.
A lot going on.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's a wild time, and same thing for the Christmas dinner. I know.
That's great, Scott. Not that your answer can even touch that, but I would still want yours.
Yeah, I feel like there's nothing I can really say. I will also say underrated. I do feel, though, for the record, that it is accurately rated, because I think a lot of people, I think, are right on point with Thanksgiving. And in this year, we had we're having two Thanksgivings. We celebrated Canadian Thanksgiving, which
nice.
My mom was really sweet too. She was like, I asked my mom, I was like, can we do something for Victoria? Because at the time we didn't have her visa to travel back home yet. So she was stuck in America, stuck in the U.S. for Canadian Thanksgiving. I said, think we could do something for her? And she's like, sure. And then she texted me and she's like, what do her people eat for Thanksgiving?
Her people.
And she
that's amazing. She
was like giving us some different ideas. And Victoria was like, I never even heard of that. It was like some Canadian dish. It was like the Victoria didn't even know of. So we ended up being like a barbecue chicken dinner, which was fun. We ate on the back porch over there, which was nice. It was good. But I like Thanksgiving a lot. It's a good time. It's a good day. And I think as far as our community is concerned, we've probably touched on this before, and I think people get a little carried away with like that everything has to be perfect with their diet and all that. I don't care. Like if we're doing a contest prep and I have people that are starting now, guess what? We're still making a Thanksgiving dinner work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're not like, maybe if they're like competing that weekend, we might not be able to, but so far that hasn't happened in my career as a coach.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
I have to actually remember to do that, is let everyone know.
Yeah.
Like, please don't be that guy.
Yeah.
It does not make you worse. If you want to, whatever, but yeah. All right, good. You guys did not disappoint there.
What about you though? What about you on that one, Dusty?
So here's the thing. Thanksgiving meal to me, the turkey is overrated. The sides are underrated. Ooh. I'm a sides guy.
What's your
I want
favorite?
All the sides.
What's your favorite one?
I like the mashed potatoes, the gravy, the stuffing with the gravy over it.
Yes.
Very key. That stuffing is a game changer. All right. And you also need to make sure and this is another thing, because this is the white trash in me. I like the cheap packeted gravy, like the basic gravy that's like light brown. I always tell my mother, I'm like, don't forget to make my shitty gravy, because she makes like a homemade gravy that everyone raves about. And then there's me. I'm like, do you have the 50-cent one? Thanks, Mom. Perfect. Right. But I will say that this year will be an underrated Thanksgiving for sure. Yeah. Because I've got my mother moved here too, so she's coming over.
Nice.
And her boyfriend, and then we have friends coming over too, so it's going to be a big one. And I don't have to do anything, which is typical. But all I have to do is make sure that the fire is burning outside, so that people can smoke cigars and relax. That's like my responsibility. It's beautiful. So yes, so I'm going underrated on this one.
Okay. I'm happy to hear
now here's a really specific one that I think Ron will understand. Angelina Jolie after 2005. It says right on it.
That's funny. For the first time ever, I feel like I should use accurately rated. It's funny that they put 2005. I'm just wondering what movie that is.
He's looking.
I need like a marker in time for her 2005. Like, what is that? What is 2005?
It must have been like back when like she started doing those fuck, what was that movie? Now I'm blanking out on what it's called.
So it was after the Billy Bob divorce, because that was 2003. So she's back to being single. Back to being single by that point. Huh. Okay, so 2005 is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That's when her and Brad Pitt worked together.
Yeah.
And she stole him.
Say that either. Beep that, probably. Mark that time, Scott.
We might need to. Honestly.
Don't think you can say whore. I just said it twice.
Yes.
So that's the Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Angelina Jolie, the one from Wanted, Salt.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Salt. That's what I was thinking. Go ahead. All right.
Okay. You know what? She might be underrated in that era.
There you go. Everyone's got to remember Ron's rules on this.
Yeah, she might be underrated during that era. You know what I mean? Because like the Tomb Raider, Gone in 60 Seconds, you know, that whole era before, like the Billy Bob thing, everyone was all hot over her during that time. And that's like once she got with Brad, I don't know. Everyone was like, oh, she's with Brad now.
Can't look at her that way, huh?
Can't look at her that way now. I don't know.
All right. All right. I like that. Scott?
I don't really have an opinion. I don't know much about her since I don't follow a lot of movies and stuff.
Oh, boy, Scott.
I always liked her. I always liked her.
I mean, didn't they invent the term DSL after her? Anyways.
I think they did, actually. Yeah.
Google it if you don't know,
term?
People. I'm not
what term?
DSL. Put it together, buddy.
You never heard that term?
I just love that. You
saw the gears turning. You saw the light bulb turn on.
All right, we're gonna do 2 more.
Because we're natural.
We're running low on time. Yellowstone, the show, and I think I know Ron's answer. Let's see.
Well, I'm on the new season now.
So am I.
We're
Did you watch
2
last
episodes
night?
in. No, we haven't seen the newest episode.
Me neither.
Is it gonna change my answer?
No, I didn't watch it. So, but go ahead. But this is based. Remember, everybody, Ron's scale is based on the current public view of it. It's not just him.
Yeah.
It's all of us.
I really like Yellowstone. It's completely unrealistic at this point.
Yes.
It's like it's following the same trajectory as Sons of Anarchy. Like fun craziness that's easy to suspend belief on for a few seasons. And now, okay, it's getting a little ridiculous. How many bodies can they dispose of? Okay. Now, why is the FBI not here setting up shop? Okay. It's like that trajectory.
Yeah.
So it's getting a little harder to sustain my belief, but I'm in there with them because of the fun.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm willing to say that it's overrated, but I like some trash.
Right.
Right.
Agreed.
And so I don't mind saying, yeah, it's a little overrated, but it's fun.
There we go. It sounds like my description of a threesome. Okay.
There you go. Right? Overrated, but fun. You don't want to miss out. Right? You don't want to be the guy that didn't see Yellowstone.
Exactly. And Scott?
So I'm that guy that didn't see Yellowstone. We'll say that first. I still have an answer, though. I'm going to say it's underrated because the only people I talk to that have watched it are you two. You guys rave about it. I don't hear a lot of other people, but I don't hear a lot else about it. So before that reason, I think the general public, that it may be underrated by them. Although, from what I understand, there was one season that had several episodes that nothing happened in. Dusty has told me. Season 4. So season 4, I'll say, is overrated.
Season four really only had like 2 really important events in it.
Yeah.
The very first fucking episode.
And then like the very last episode, pretty much.
So I pretty much have seen it as far as, anybody's concerned. I've got a good opinion now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Underrated, season 4, overrated.
You know what though? So here's the reason that I agree with Ron is because it is it is great trash. Okay? And if you guys, because it's not like a cinematic, piece of art or anything like that. But it's great to watch. The reason I do think it's overrated, even though I was waiting and literally watched a live show for the first time in years when the first episode came out, is because the public has made it such a thing that, like, if you happen to go into like a store, there are shirts for Yellowstone.
Oh, wow.
In like Walmart and stores, and literally you'll just see them all the time. So it's reached a craze to that level, which is why I say it's overrated, just because it has done that. But I love it. So I hope that they can keep me around, because this is the season I said the end if they don't. And I will say before I let this go that I told Ron when I first started watching it that this show was Sons of Anarchy on horses. And he just basically said the same exact thing. It's fantastic. Yes, so that's that. And the final one that I'm curious to know Ron's take. Underrated or overrated? Al Pacino after 1983.
I like how people give these like
very specific.
Yeah.
Well, because now you know what movies we're not in, though. Like, you know, we've stepped away from the original gangster movies. So
I just got to see this. I got to see this.
You got a timeline? Put a timeline together?
I need a little bit of a timeline. Yeah. Just a little bit.
Well, he wants to give an honest assessment.
Sure.
Yeah, I want an honest assessment. I need to know exactly what movies fall into that. Perfect. So 1983? So 1983 was Scarface.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, after 83.
Yeah. So before 1983 is like The Godfather, Godfather Part 2, Dog Day Afternoon, Justice for All. He had a bunch of great movies. But then 83 was Scarface.
Yep.
I would say, and then Glengarry Glen Ross, Scent of a Woman, Carlito's Way, Heat, Donnie Brasco. He's underrated. These are like some of the greatest movies of all time. Any Given Sunday, you know. Yeah. These are like, you know, these are some of the best movies ever. If you're going to choose 1983, then, you know, I mean, this is like his Oscar stuff comes after that. So I'd say underrated. You know, Scent of a Woman is an Oscar, right? So there you go.
I also thought that like his part in, like, for example, because it's a smaller show for him, his part in Donnie Brasco was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's one of them too, you know? Yeah.
I mean,
he's fantastic.
Great. Scott, I know you're not a movie guy, but you still have to answer.
I can defer to Ron on this one because he has more experience than me and more insight, and I'm going to trust that. So I'm gonna basically vote with Ron just to be safe. I think that's a good.
Usually, I would want you to argue with Ron just because you like to do that, but I understand your reasoning on this one because there's no escaping. Like, this was. I can pretty much argue any side of anything, and I can't win this one by going that he's overrated. So,
yeah.
Wow. So I put Heat on just a little while ago.
Oh, Heat's
I
great.
was like sitting at home. Emily was like out for the night or something, and I thought I couldn't find something to watch. I just put Heat on and just let it play. And I think I watched like over half of it before I like said, okay, I'm going to do something else, because I've seen Heat like a bunch of times. But if you have not seen Heat, like, I know a lot of our viewers are younger. They weren't watching the biggest movies of 1995. If you have not seen Heat, it is possibly the greatest heist movie of all time.
Okay.
It's got an amazing cast. It's almost 3 hours long. It's very huge. Like, the story is deep, and the two main characters are Pacino and De Niro.
Yeah.
And they are cat and mousing each other. And the acting, and there's a scene with De Niro and Pacino at a diner sitting together having a coffee, and one is a criminal and one is a cop, and they're having a little sit down together about what is about to happen. And, you know, he can't prove nothing yet, and the other guy's not admitting nothing yet, but they're having this little midnight sit down at a diner over a cup of coffee. That scene is one of the greatest scenes of all time, and Val Kilmer is in it. He's awesome. The cast is crazy, and then has one of the most famous bank robbery scenes ever. that there was the scene where they walk into that fucking bank and they come out and there's that shootout with the cops. That scene is like, I remember how intense that was when that scene came out. People were like, you have to see this fucking movie. Like no one had like a shootout with cops like that in a movie ever. It was the most realistic, like impactful shootout scene. Like people were just like, because before that, Hollywood approached shootouts like Hollywood, you know, pow, pow. Like, but this was fully automatic machine guns in broad daylight on a busy street in Los Angeles. Fuck, don't give a fuck who gets hit. We are getting out of here. It's do or die. We'll kill every fucking cop. Like it was incredible. And then not long after that, there was an actual robbery where guys copied that. They got full body armor, fully automatic machine guns.
Oh, the Hollywood heist.
That Hollywood heist. And it was on TV from the helicopter. They're hiding behind cars, just spraying right through the cars, all that shit.
Those guys were nuts.
Yeah.
They were bodybuilders too. Did you know that?
little go muscle.
Yeah, they trained at Gold's Gym. That's where they met. They were like, one of them was like I think they're both like criminals, you know, out of prison. Right. Met at the gym, and they got that idea together.
Went to a movie and decided, fuck it, let's give it a roll.
Why not? They'd done it a couple times. They like done some robberies, but that one they made their own Kevlar. They got like Kevlar and like stitched it all together to make full body suits out of it.
That's awesome. That's crazy. And I won't ruin one of the keys in it. One of the keys of that shootout scene is Tom Sizemore's character. You remember Tom Sizemore? He's in that movie. His character during that shootout, man, you got to see. It's just how his character, what his character does during the shootout, towards the end of that shootout, is like, it's like, wow, pretty crazy, pretty intense. Like, I don't know, I just remember that scene being really impactful. So anyone who hasn't seen Heat, that's totally worth it. That's my recommendation, my classic movie recommendation.
There we go. Ron's classic movie recommendation on episode We're Not Allowed to Say. If it's just bodybuilding.
Is that it?
I always like that I try to manipulate my over-unders to finish strong, and Ron never fails me. Never.
I love my movies, man. There's certain movies that I just think are fucking great, you know, where I think the script is good, and there's so much shit that Hollywood pumps out where I'm watching it, I'm like, people don't talk like this. You know? And then when you get a movie where you're like, you forget you're watching a movie, and you're like, because I figure if I forget that they're reading a script, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Because I hate it when like I'm watching a movie and I'm like, this script is terrible. You know?
Yeah.
It's the worst. So, yeah. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment. And
ring the bell.
Ring the fucking bell.
And comment with questions for the next episode.
Yes.
We need that.
True. Yes.
Over-unders also. Over-unders also.
Over-unders are great. Yes. I really like the over-unders, Dusty.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay. I got shit to do. Okay. I'm sure you guys too. Remember, everybody, IamMutant.com, Dusty20, Big Ron 20. Or wait for the Black Friday. There's 6 days during Black Friday, 30% off.
It'll be happening.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, this will be Saturday probably when it comes out. So
it'll probably be already happen.
It'll be happening.
Yeah,
go there now.
It'll be happening. Okay. Thanks, guys. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment,
and ring the bell.
There we go. One more. I had to get one more in there. Can't remember. Remember, it's just bodybuilding.